Overwatch is back, and with its return, they are finally dropping the 2 and bringing forth a unprecedented amount of content to the game. So for everyone that hasn't wasted away the last week scraping through Twitter and YouTube content like I have, this is everything that you've missed. We are getting 5 brand new heroes spanning old lore, new lore, and even a character coming straight out of players' headcanon. Starting off with Emre, one of 2 DPS joining the roster and the most basic of the bunch. For players who like playing shooter games outside of Overwatch, this should feel right at home with a Halo-styled kit that includes a burst rifle, grenades, a pistol sidearm that heals you, and gives you increased movement speed and jump height, with an ultimate that takes over your body, propelling you into the air and allowing you to fire down with light and heavy shots that kind of looks like a Mega Man adjacent arm cannon. The second DPS being added is Onron, who we've all gotten a chance to play early over the last couple days. As Wu Yang's sister, she of course comes with some elemental abilities. Using a pair of fans, Onron shoots out projectiles made of fire that gradually ignite enemies. Once ignited, she's able to fan opponents to keep the fire going and dealing increased damage. She also comes with a fiery movement ability that propels her in the direction she is looking, dealing damage to enemies in her way. And for her second ability, she is able to become untargetable, dashing between enemies in a small circle, dealing damage to them and also igniting them. And then lastly for her ultimate, which actually has 2 variations, something we haven't seen since launch Overwatch 1 Symmetra. The first one will make her jump into the air and then crash down, igniting enemies and dealing damage in a large circle around her. The second one does the same thing, except instead it's used when you're dead and you revive yourself and cause the explosion around you. Next we have Domina, who is a new player to the ever-expanding lore. She is the head of in-universe organization Vishkar and is our newest tank hero. Coming equipped with the most unique shield in the game, it is made up of individual square segments that can be broken individually. She has a knockback ability similar to Lucio's Boop, but coming with a little extra oomph, it also allows her to stun enemies if they collide into a wall. Her primary fire is similar to Symmetra's beam, but instead comes out in bursts with a large portion of the damage at the end. Domina also has a crystal ability that she throws out, and it slows enemies around it, building up for an explosion. And while it's active, it also regens her shield HP. Finally, her ultimate, probably one of the best of the new characters, traps enemies in Zarya-like bubbles that prevent them from shooting out any damage or healing, making them essentially sitting ducks before the bubbles eventually explode. Then next up we have Mizuki, our first playable Hashimoto representative, one of our 2 new support characters, and the first Japanese hero who can't wall climb. He comes in as a necessity in the ever-growing amount of movement in the game, having an ability that launches a chain at enemies, dragging them to the ground and hindering them for a moment, acting like a single target version of Ramatra's Vortex. His second ability allows him to place a totem on the ground, which he can then teleport back to once he finds himself in danger, kind of similar to a predetermined Tracer Recall. His primary fire is actually quite unique, being a glaive that bounces off walls and triggers his passive that boosts the amount of healing he does through his Lucio-like aura. So he has basically like a ring around him that heals everyone. Mizuki also has the ability to throw his hat out at his teammates, bouncing off them before returning to you, and each time it bounces, it heals your teammates. Then his ultimate, which is quite possibly the most defensive ult in the game, summons a large cylindrical zone on the ground, acting the exact same way that D.Va's defense matrix does, but also heals any teammates found inside it. It doesn't last very long though, so make sure to pop it at the best possible moment. It's only like a couple seconds. Then lastly, you've seen it on the thumbnail, the character that comes straight out of the Overwatch mythos. Jetpack Cat breaks so many rules in this game, it's insane. The cat is able to free fly around at all times. They have a resource meter that lets them speed up their movement in the direction they're facing. They also have a tether ability where teammates can opt into being carried around seemingly indefinitely. They also have a healing button similar to Baptiste's shift ability, where it'll just heal in a burst around them and will also knock back enemies. And for their primary fire, they have these twin paw cannon things that heal teammates and damage enemies. And then the ultimate. The ultimate is probably the most BM ability the devs have ever added to this game. Upon use, Jetpack Cat will dive to the ground, grabbing onto the closest enemy to the impact zone, and then will drag them off to wherever the cat wants. And of course, wherever the cat wants is almost 99% of the time going to be off the nearest cliffside. Moving on from heroes, we do have a massive gameplay change coming, that being sub-roles, which is the first new feature of the year and does away with all the role passives we've had since Overwatch 2 2 came out. This system is going to divide up our heroes even further in their own classes and give them new passives that better suit their playstyle rather than one broad passive across all heroes in the same role. So first, starting off with the DPS sub-roles, we have Flanker, which makes it so you receive more health from health packs, Recon, which makes it so you can see players through walls that you've damaged, Sharpshooter, which will make it so critical hits reduce your movement ability cooldowns, and Specialist, which makes it so scoring elimination will reduce your reload speed for a few seconds. And then for tanks, there's 3. First off with Bruiser, it reduces the critical damage you receive and also increases your move speed when you're low HP. Initiator, which heals you while you're airborne, and Stalwart, which will reduce received slow and knockback effects. Last but not least, Support, coming in with 3 sub-roles. First off is Medic, which will heal you for a portion of the healing done by your primary weapon. Second is Survivor, which makes it so when you use a movement ability, it activates your health regen passive immediately. And then Tactician, which lets you store up to an additional 25% ult charge beyond your 100%. Okay, now that the bulk of that update is out of the way, we have a bunch of little extra bits, quality of life stuff that we're receiving this season. Getting it out of the way early, of course we have new cosmetics coming. Mercy is receiving a second mythic skin, which Mercy players will probably be pretty happy with. It's very different than the first one that she received. I would have rathered see a new character get it, but you know what? If it pays the bills, it pays the bills, right? Then mid-season we will see May receive a mythic skin, and Juno will also be receiving a mythic weapon skin this season, which is a little space blaster with a little alien dude in it. And for anyone wondering what the latest collab is going to be this season, it's going to be Hello Kitty. I'm not particularly interested myself, but it looks great. Lucio fans are probably really happy they're getting a new skin. It looks fun. Then probably one of the coolest parts of this new update, there is going to be a new event starting at the very beginning of the season. It is a meta event which will let players shape the future of the Overwatch story by taking a side. Choose either Talon or Overwatch to fight for your team, completing challenges and unlock rewards based on the team that wins each week throughout the season. And then kind of the smaller updates we have going on, we have Vendetta joining Stadium. The loot box pool is finally being updated with all the cosmetics from the shop over the last year. Outside of collab skins, there will be an event going on at the start of the season that will let players get just over 90 loot boxes for free, so you can start getting that new collection going as soon as possible. There's going to be a new esports loot box that can be obtained through drops on Twitch and YouTube, which will contain skins both old and new from the entire history of Overwatch esports. Clash is going to be removed from quick play. For those unaware, it's already been gone from comp for quite a while, but now they're just doing away with the mode entirely outside of Stadium. Console players will be receiving an FOV slider. Watchpoint Gibraltar is getting a pretty large rework to coincide with the events of the Overwatch story. We are receiving a new competitive weapon variant, Crimson Wolf. It's kind of similar to Galactic except red. There is going to be the usual yearly ranked reset, which means you will have to do your placements again. End of match voting / cards is returning in a new way, where instead of it being like flat pictures, it's a 3D environment. And we'll also be getting a complete overhaul of all the game's UI menus. But with all that being said, you're caught up on everything coming in Season 1 of Overwatch. No 2 anymore. The update goes live at 2 p.m. EST on Tuesday the 10th. Be sure to get those pre-installs going if you want to join in right away, and I'll be seeing y'all in queues. GG's.